Everybody good? We're all good?
I'm good.
All right.
Yep.
Ready, y'alls?
Yep.
Y'alls.
Gotta love it.
All pro.
History in the making.
The lady and the gentleman.
Every time.
Yeah,
Every
we
time.
don't tell newbies.
Nope.
So that way you get your natural reaction.
Every time.
She's
No one
like,
ever expects
she's
it.
like, so
But
he's
what's going on?
only
Is he
gonna
okay?
dance?
Is he okay? Are we calling ambulance?
No, I can see you're okay.
I mean, oh yes. I feel
True.
great.
In true therapist form, she gave you the side eye.
She did.
Like, that's healthy. So
She
okay.
did. Yeah, exactly.
It's music,
She
so
did.
it's
Now I know we got an official in the studio. We got an official in the studio. This is gonna be a great episode.
I know. I am
Great episode. So, real quick, welcome back to the L&G podcast. This is All-Pro. To my left, the one, the only, the lovely, the great.
I feel like I know.
No,
I
it's
feel like
great.
I-
No, it's
a
good.
running
It
thing
works.
now.
It is.
All right.
It is. It works.
At
It
this
works.
point,
I love
there's no choice. No, it's me.
With all the helium involved. We got it. We got it.
Keeping on a balloon before she came in.
Man,
Is
I
that what
woke
you
up
do? You
on
on the
10
whippets?
today for some reason. It's like, and that was before the gym. I was like, oh, I'm in the gym. Let's go.
You
I'm
don't
like,
stand before the gym. They better watch out.
All I know is you better bottle that, because I want some.
not every day. It's probably because I was
Selling
like,
it.
I was like, yesterday. So today is
You got a double dose?
yeah. So now I'm like,
So, yo, real quick before music changes.
we got guests.
We got guests. Bringing it back. Because he was on the,
Black History Month.
Yeah, that was it. Black History
He's the
Month.
history guy, but he's changing hats. And now he's coming in as the therapist, social worker kind of space.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the director of the M.E.N.T.A.L as we know it, Mr.
Fred.
Murph. So I was off there with the right. Yeah,
You see, that was perfect.
That's
Boom,
the time. You know
boom,
what I'm saying? We in group. Let me ask you.
Right.
All right.
We a music group.
I'm just saying. Come on now, like Bell in the boat.
And we have another guest.
Yes.
Actually, hold on.
I
Because
know
it
about
was two
this.
guys in the, I think that's like City High. City High.
The group.
The group.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I got you.
They only had one hit though.
They really did just have one hit.
Something
about
about
me?
at home.
Yeah,
You got your money right.
Yeah.
Wyclef wrote that.
And they were standing on like some building in Chicago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to the guests.
Yes.
So sorry about that. Yours, the honors.
I know her by Mrs. Jones. So.
I like that. Mrs.
Mrs. Jones. And I wanted to sing it, but I was like, no, somebody's gonna do it. So there
Oh,
we
you
go.
know I was going to do it. You know I was going to do it.
That is the absolute first time I've heard that. But yes, my name is Rochelle Jones, and I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome, Miss Rochelle Jones. What do you do?
I am a therapist. I'm a mental health therapist, and I have been for a number of years. I own a private practice, Rochelle Jones Counseling in North and South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Here to meet all
Two
your mental
locations.
health needs.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, this will be a great episode.
Loving it already.
Great episode.
Loving it.
So real quick, since the music changed, it's time for the jab.
Yeah.
Now, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, I had to dig deep to a jabbable moment that caused me some nightmares, like, you know, throughout the years. So this is something that happened, we're gonna go 2002, 2003-ish.
Okay.
So it was me and well, actually two of my own boys, but really the only really be concerned with one. I'm not gonna say his real name. We're just gonna call him Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan.
Okay, Brian.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah. Now
He knows who he is, though.
he absolutely knows who he is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely knows who he is. So Ryan and another guy, we decided to have a little trip, a little like post-school trip. We wanted to go to Carowinds, and we're all from Fayetteville. Those that don't know, Fayetteville. I mean, from the part of Fayetteville that we're at, it's about 3 hours to get straight to Carowinds, maybe a little less. So I remember the day before, got fresh cuts, fresh lineups. Woke up early that morning, drove to Carowinds, and we stayed at Carowinds all day. All day. I'm
Right.
talking about
8 to
rode.
8.
Yeah, rode everything like 4 times.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, we were trained.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not 1 minute did we ever stop to think that it took us 3 hours to get to Carowinds.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have no hotel room. It's gonna be a long 3 hours back
Right.
at night.
Right.
And you tired.
And we're tired.
And
And we ate as soon as we left.
Oh.
Oh, the itis waited. It did not wait 1 second.
Y'all should just
Oh, it was terrible.
So yeah, okay.
So the guy in the back seat, which is part of the reason why he's just gonna remain nameless. I mean, as soon as he finished eating, this guy like pulled out a pillow.
Don't hate on him because he was prepared.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Call him-
absolutely prepared.
Call him Homer.
Well, you know when we get there, I'll see y'all later.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, wow, all right. So and I told Ryan, I said, Ryan, I'm doing my best. All right, I'm gonna try. I'm trying to hang with you. 'Cause I know you the only one driving. Because at that time, I didn't know how to drive a stick. The car was a stick. Yeah, he was like, yeah. Some things you just gotta know ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, if I buy a stick, if I buy a car with a stick, ain't no other drivers in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I held on strong for about a good hour. Then it started getting tough.
Yeah.
It started getting real tough.
3-hour trip.
Oh yeah, it started getting real bad. And there's a nice little path of road on the highway. There's no street lights. There's no lights. There's no nothing. It's just
And there's no interstate
It's you and the moon.
to get to.
It's you and the moon.
Yeah.
Right? It's not an interstate to get to Fayetteville.
Not one. No, it's like you're constantly going like through
Yeah,
cities.
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. So this is oh gosh. Okay, so I ended up falling asleep. All right, I dozed off, and I just remember for whatever reason I woke up. I woke up and looked over. So I'm in the front now. I looked over. Ryan was asleep.
The car was still going?
Car was still going.
Damn.
Oh God! Oh my God!
So there was 150 scenarios that went through my
Oh
mind
my
right
God.
then and there. I was like, all right, if I panic, he might panic.
Yeah.
Flip the car over. Okay, if I calmly trying to wake him up, maybe if I like just give him a tap on the shoulder,
Well, grab the wheel.
grab the wheel, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a football player, he's a little stronger than me.
Um,
He might still like flip the car over.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but wasn't the car still on the road going? I mean, you didn't hit the.
None of that yet. No.
Oh.
Oh,
But
wow.
I wanted to like
See, that
wake
was
him
God
up before
waking
that
you up
happened.
right
Angels,
before.
those
It was.
angels was
Okay.
tapping.
It was.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah,
It was.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I wanted to wake him up before we started to hit that little part on the shoulder.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Ribbon.
Yeah. Because again, I didn't know maybe he's gonna panic, flip the car over. So this is exactly what I tried to. This is my best. This is my best form of remaining calm in an absolute scary situation. And for whatever reason, everyone loves to laugh at this. But my method of waking him up was Ryan, wake up. Ryan, did you wake up right now? Ryan, I'm starting to tap him. I'm like, Ryan, did you wake up? Ryan, wake up. He finally wakes up, flips out. I grab the wheel. I'm just like, nah, bro. Like, we're not flipping this car over. We're not flipping this car over. But we stayed on the road. And I think we had enough adrenaline in our system to make way for the next
Yeah,
4 or
you
5
terrified.
days.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Facing the
Petrified.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did he think he was out for? Y'all don't know. Y'all just.
I
You
didn't
just
want to ask any questions. I want to immediately move on.
Yeah. So
I
you
suppressed
lightly tap, hey, dude, you know, oh, okay.
it. Again, like the car was still good though. It weren't any. Now if it was a curve coming up, he might have got some more, immediate action. But
That wasn't like that ain't nothing but God. You
Yeah.
woke up right when he closed his eyes, probably.
It
That's
could've been,
probably
yeah.
I don't
exactly
know
how.
though. If
Yeah.
you gotta call him 2 or 3 times, he'd gotten into some good
REM,
sleep,
maybe
some
like
REM
REM
sleep.
2?
and
Yes.
it's like his mouth was open. It was
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He been at 3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like, I was about to be going back and forth, so he might have been dreaming.
Mercy.
All I know is somebody's grandma's prayers.
Dang.
They
Whoa.
kept this here specifically for this episode on the podcast. So,
Yes, sir.
Ryan, you know who you are. If you don't mind, brothers, please stand up. Black shoulders, keep your head up, and accept this jab to the back of the throat for causing me all the nightmares throughout all the
Oh,
years.
man.
That is traumatic.
I feel so much better though.
Got it out.
Got out your
Got
chest.
it out.
Oh my
Got it
God,
out.
that is
It
crazy.
is. It's therapeutic.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Now to the meat of the combo.
Yes. So we're still on the wave of the Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have, of course, 2 therapists in the house. We are going to talk about men, black men,
Okay.
in therapy.
All right.
And the lack thereof. I know, let's see, with Charlemagne, I think Charlemagne has probably been the biggest advocate over probably the last year and a half with the book that came out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shook
And
one.
it's, yeah. Didn't he have another one?
Black privilege. But you
Yeah.
talk more about mental
Yeah,
health than the
but
shook
this
one.
last one was Shook Ones.
Oh, there were more than one.
Yeah, he has
Oh,
2,
okay,
but this
okay.
one I think he focused mostly on the
Yeah,
therapy.
okay.
And of course he did the show talking about a live like therapy session to kind of break the
Right.
stigma. So he's been a very good advocate of talking about this. It's been a big topic of conversation. Common Now has a book that's came out, and he's talking about his molestation. He's talking about going to therapy. He's talking
wow.
about it. Yeah. He had an interview on the Breakfast Club today.
Oh.
So, all that to say that that's a big topic now.
Yeah.
And
Finally.
it was crazy. So we were preparing for this show, and we wanted to get some, between me and Jock's group of friends, we wanted to get a man that went to therapy. And we wasn't able to find one, but all the black males pretty much said, oh, I need to go, but I ain't went. I'm like, well, that's the whole purpose of this show. So we're gonna talk about that.
And yours, because we just got another guest.
Yeah.
So, welcome back from the commercial break. We didn't want to bore you guys too long, so I
Oh, yeah.
the hell out that commercial break. And now we have an additional guest joining us, Buddy Soob.
Super.
Hey.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Another counselor of sorts.
Yes. Counselor at West Charlotte High School.
So you deal with the young guys, which we don't want to address as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The young guys, the young guys who think they're adults.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's me.
So the open dialogue is really just, I guess, let's start out with the two therapists, because I know you would know. Of course, there's probably more female, African American female than there are African American men coming for therapy. I guess, where do we start the conversation?
I have a good question. I'm going
Go
to
ahead.
ask. Would you say that for the men that do go, first, actually, you know what? No, let's take it a step back. Would you be able to give some type of a ratio from, as to like the ratio of men that go to therapy versus women? Or I guess women to men, rather.
Well, in my experience, and I've been a therapist for about a lot of years, I won't say how many,
No
but a lot of
worries.
years. I'm getting grown, I've done this for quite some time. For my practice, probably 90-10.
Oh my.
And most of the black men who come to
Wow.
therapy come as part of a couple.
Wow.
Some marriage counseling, premarital, they've done some ill stuff and they're trying to get it back together, therapy.
Like within the relationship?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. They've done, some cheating, some scheming, something, and now they're trying to get it back together. So they'll come. But as far as coming just as a grown-up man coming to kind of work out their problems, not very many, very few. I would probably say maybe 5% of my whole population. But of the ones who come, they're really good. They're very invested, they're very insightful, and they recognize that some problems back there are affecting how they're living today.
Mm-hmm.
And they're open to understanding.
Wow.
Fred, as a black man, that's a therapist. Why do you think it's hard? Which I know folks, like I said, this has been a big conversation for the past couple years, but why do you think it's hard that you don't see a lot of the brothers? Or even because you're a male therapist, so you would think, oh, okay, well, maybe you get more. Do you get more, do you think, than probably a female therapist?
I'm on the EAP panel with the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County.
Mhm.
So
Okay, what is the EAP?
EAP is an employee assistance program.
Gotcha.
So individuals get a certain number of free therapy sessions they can come in, right?
Mhm.
So I will say that through the EAP program, that I am seeing more African American males that are
Okay.
coming in. But I think that a lot of that is due to stress on the job.
Mm.
But then when they come in, it's always the opportunity for them to bring something else
Okay.
into the fold. And my whole thing is I don't care how it happens.
Right.
As long as
I don't care why you
It
got
may
here.
start off
As long
as,
as it happens.
as a vocational thing, from an occupation, but then the whole the script gets flipped when you start kind of delving in a little bit deeper,
Mhm.
and then they be like, oh well, then man, and this was going on, and I'm like, oh okay, I'm just looking and listening, and then this, and then so then you have this big hodgepodge of a lot of things that are going on. But I think historically, from the African American male perspective, is just that you were never taught to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yes, sir.
this is the thing that a lot of people know, is that you just were never taught to be vulnerable. And because of that, because you had to be so strong and have this mantra of being able to put this bulletproof vest on and take everything, regardless if it's real bullets or emotional bullets,
Mhm.
that's what you had to sit in. And because of that, it's unfortunately caused a lot of different discord between a person's holistic health?
I would say depending on where you are, when you mentioned EAP, when I worked in EAP, I did have lots more African American males, but I think it was less of a stigma because sometimes your employer would say, hey, you gotta go. If you're gonna work here, you're gonna have to go and talk about these things. And
They can do that?
oh, absolutely.
They can say that.
Okay, they absolutely can. If you're having problems at work, if you're having problems with your coworkers, a number of problems, it doesn't even have to be something specifically mental illness per se. It's like talking to someone, and it's not as much of a stigma, so they are more likely to go in those situations. So it just kind of depends. If there's lots of therapies related to work, and if you're having problems with your kids, sometimes they'll come when somebody else is the identified patient. Well, I'm gonna come in and help my wife because she needs some help. But really, it's all y'all. You know, God lifts all the boats.
Right.
So, kind of non-traditional ways.
Yeah, and I to add to that, and it's funny you say that being forced, because with me being in the high school, we really don't know, our males are going through things until an administrator, a teacher, or somebody says, I think such and such needs mental health therapy. So, once you graduate, there's nobody telling you or forcing you to go to therapy. Most of the cases and the issues that I see in school are brought to me by somebody else. Until you build that relationship with the student, they don't know that, well, they do know, but they don't trust it. They feel like, oh, I can handle it. And then, like I said, once you graduate and you, quote unquote, become a man, you feel like, oh, I can handle the problems, or it's not that big, this is just life.
Yep.
When you need to, get those issues out. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
So there's not a difference because I guess the younger generation, and of course, like I said, our generation, and of course our parents, that's the whole mantra. Don't show emotion, you don't cry, you be a man and man up.
Pray about
Absolutely.
it.
Right, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Pray
yeah,
about
the
it.
altar.
Pray about it. You know,
The altar takes care of everything.
yeah.
But the thing
So-
is, it's all, because I'm also in the CMS schools too. So
Right.
I'm in middle school and high school. So, and Ms. Jones is too. So all three of us also were in
Schools
CMS
as well.
schools, in the school system, and the majority of the kids that we see, they all look like us.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, what you seeing now, and what we seeing now, is no different than what was.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just, again, history always repeats itself, and the same teachings in some instances that were taught then is the exact same thing now, right? But then it's kind of like the yin yang thing, because African American males do have to be tough mentally to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have that capacity of being able to take it in order to keep pushing and keep going on because of the society in which we living in, right?
And how we socialize our young boys. I mean, you'll tell a little 2 or 3 year old little boy, don't cry, get up, shake it off. Shake it, man up, toughen up.
Yeah,
Out on the
right.
football field, shake it off. When a little girl, we have a lot more capacity to, oh, honey, I call it happy man. You get grown men, and the only emotions they can show is happy and mad. Not upset, disappointed, vulnerable,
Concerned.
sad,
Right.
That's good.
frustrated, happy man. That's all they've got.
And I was thinking, when you were saying, like, we're taught to not really show our emotions and whatnot, and I don't know, because I'm thinking about it, and yeah, it's very true. We just taught to kind of, I don't know, whatever, it's a mask we put on. We're good, we don't want anybody to see anything, but then it's like, we have to have an outlet. And then like, I think that's something that needs to be taught to younger men, younger and older men. Like, it's just having an outlet, whether it's music, boxing,
Flag
gym,
football.
flag football.
But you know what, real quick, the problem is that they don't get that until they line up with us three.
Right.
That's the problem, is
When
that
it's
that's what
essentially
we're
too
telling
late.
them. Right.
Yeah.
Until it's too late. Like, that's our message, right? I don't think, I'm just gonna speak for both of y'all. I don't think y'all are telling them the same thing, to man up or this and that, this and that. You're telling them that you can have a balance in life of being able to talk about the challenges that you're having, and then get some tools to be able to help them, go forward to where when it comes about, they can say, oh, you know what this is? Let me pull this intervention out of my tool belt, or let me pull this intervention out of my tool belt, so they can be successful. You know what I'm saying?
And I would say our entire culture and how we're changing as a society is contributing to the mental health illnesses. When I think about the fight or flee, and how you get the rise of cortisone levels, and also adrenaline. That adrenaline burns off, but that cortisol will stay with you for days at a time.
Yep.
Now, when we were growing up, we'd get on our bike, ride all day, we'd run, we'd fight, we had a very active life.
Yep.
So you could, when you run and you use your body, you burn the cortisol out, so it's not affecting you.
Right.
But when you sit in front of a video game, you know, when you just witness domestic violence or whatever it is that's traumatizing you,
Sit
it's
with
making
it.
you fear, fly, you get to sit with it, and it eats at your literal tissues, which increases your chances of anxiety and depression and conduct disorders and all these other things. Because in elementary school, we've got to get them taught. They've got to pass these tests. They've got 20 minutes.
PE's not a big thing
Thank you.
anymore. That's
And-
actually been taken out. So
Absolutely,
they don't
and they don't get to play outside that
Yeah.
much.
They don't have the parachute anymore?
With the
Don't tell me I'm the
balls.
only one. Don't tell me I'm the only one with the parachute. I remember that parachute.
No, I
Yo,
know,
let's
but
go.
I just wasn't ready for the parachute.
To speak on the high school, PE is like, it's becoming a smaller, how I want to say, basically like a credit. Like half of the year, which, you know, you gotta do health and PE, but half of the year you're doing health.
Which is sitting in class.
And then once you get that PE credit, you don't have to go back and take any type of physical activity.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's an outlet.
Yep.
To go on what you were saying about the outlets, I think a lot of the issues with the men is that they see like our outlets, we want to emulate. You know, I don't, for some odd reason, it's like men want to copy men all the time. And of course I can only speak because I'm a man, I can't speak from the woman's perspective, but men want to copy men. So when we see black men, we see them bouncing the ball or rapping. I know so many rappers in West Charlotte High School, it's ridiculous.
They're no business people?
None at all. None at all. I know
Entrepreneurs.
one. Yeah, I know one, but like I said, that's who they want to be, so that's their outlet. And then, okay, if you're a rapper, your outlet coming from that area where West Charlotte is, you seeing nothing but violence. So you talking about all the same things. You're not experiencing nothing different. So I think that contributes to it as well. Like if we introduce them to different things and take them different places and show them different things, that their mind will start to work. And then, like you said, you can have a conversation instead of talking about how, you know, oh, I don't have enough food on the table. Yeah, I understand that. We can work on that. Let's talk about how when we took you downtown to BOA Center, you had a great time and you want to now possibly be a banker.
Yeah.
You know, it's different things that we have to spark different parts of the brain.
Wow.
Different perspective, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's
I
good
did-
though.
Before
It's good though.
Before you move on, I wanted to go back real quick because I like to explain things to the listeners. You know, like as we're speaking, you know, that's why I asked you to kind of say if he was. And so real quick, if you could go back to the cortisol, because real quick.
Okay, as human beings, since forever, you know, back when we lived in caves, we have a fight or flee process in our bodies. So if you've ever almost been in a car accident and you lock up the brake, how your heart is beating so fast and you can hear your ears, like the heartbeat in your ears, that fear, oh my God, I'm going to die. In that moment, there's a release of adrenaline because if this is a saber-toothed tiger, I need to run. If this is something smaller, I might need to fight or flee. Now, whether you're fighting or fleeing, you're using a lot of energy. And the hormones running through your body help you have strength, like strength of 10 men. You can fight really well. It also helps your blood to clot in case you get cut. You're going to not bleed out as much.
Oh wow, I didn't know that much.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
So
even
it's-
suppresses the like digestion too,
Absolutely,
right? Yeah.
digestion slows because you need all your blood supply to your muscles to fight. Also, your vision. Like if you've ever been in an accident, it's like the world moves really slow. Yeah, because you're taking in something so intense. But also, like in domestic violence, it's so many things. I mean, as a Black American, let the police get behind me, boy. The stress,
Here
and
right.
10 and 2. You know, I don't have anything in my car, but still. I'm sitting up nice and straight. So all of those hormones running through your body are great if you need to run or you need to fight. But if you need to not, you still have it in your body, and if you can't burn it off by doing something active, it eats at you. And it harms your very cells. It creates high blood pressure, diabetes, and all these other things.
And then also with that though, when we talk about trauma, right? if a person is experiencing catatonic shock, that doesn't work for them. So let's just say that an individual has been molested majority of their life, and molested majority of their life, or experienced domestic violence, or any of those things. When you don't utilize the fight or flight, and you sit with that, then your body can go into complete shock to where you're stuck.
Oh,
You can't
you
make a
You see
decision.
that in movies
It's a deer in
sometimes.
headlights. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately the part in which when individuals keep sitting in those different traumatic situations, that none of what Ms. Jones had mentioned, it won't work, because you have literally become a part of this currently reoccurring situation that your body doesn't know how to react. So you just
So it
sit
locks
there.
up.
So when some people be like, well, why didn't you hit this person? Or why didn't you run? Or why didn't you do X, Y, and Z? They literally physically cannot move.
Right.
And mentally, they may be thinking that this is what I need to do, but they can't physically do it.
That's gotta be a terrible
Oh, wow.
situation.
So which is why individuals who have been victims of sexual assault or domestic violence, et cetera, that's why we can't be so hard on these folks all the time like that, because
Yeah, because
you don't
the
know.
story always go, why did you wait 20 years to say something?
Right.
And the narrative that's also becoming repetitive is, because Charlamagne said this, and Common, they didn't even realize, they both were molested. Common said he didn't know he was technically molested until he was playing a role in a movie. And then Charlamagne goes, he goes, I didn't think it was a problem. So where does that fit? And the thing is, they didn't realize it until it was presented to them or they went to therapy.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, well, I act like this because of, so they've suppressed. So what is that when it's so suppressed?
I would say this. Sometimes in families, they have incest. This is what it is. You know, it's, you don't know that other people live differently. Like, you don't have the insight to know that this is not
basis
how
of comparison.
everybody lives. And guess what? When someone touches your genitals, your sexual area, it feels good. So you have a lot of conflicted feelings because it truly feels good, but you may be feeling guilty. They're in your ear. It's a romancing almost. Like, they don't just. And people will say, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you tell? Well, it was a whole orchestrated thing.
Yeah.
Like, they groomed you from way back then. They look in your eyes, they put their phone down and pay attention to you in a world where everything is moving so quickly. So when they're asking you to do things and touch things, it is not the horror people who don't have insight think about.
Yeah.
So it's very lascivious because you didn't grow up and you have
Say
T word right now.
Do I need an order?
Put that in my
Right.
just look up later.
Lascivious. But at any rate, the thing is, you don't. The surface just snuck on in, and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
You didn't even really get it. Hard to kind of pull away because this person, maybe you're, and oftentimes the people who are molesting people are people you invite in your house.
Yeah.
They're your friends,
Yeah.
your
And
family,
yeah.
your Uncle Buddy and them, your mama's husband, your mama's best friend's husband. People you let in your space, and you know it's going to upset the apple cart if you say something. So it's very difficult and not as easy. And also when you've been victimized, the next time your response is not what you think it is. When people say she wasn't even crying, she didn't even seem upset. It's that catatonic that Bridget was talking about.
Well, that was a whole lot of insight
It really was.
on some stuff that I'm like, oh, okay. Because I definitely have asked that question, like, well, why are they waiting 20 years? You know, I haven't experienced anything like that, so I can't speak on it. But of course, as a social media, expert, that's what I call them.
You know what, real quick though, yo, like a lot of times people they're asking that question, in the general sense, like they're like, wait, why did they wait?
Yeah.
It's just that you asking the wrong people.
Yeah.
The blind leading the blind.
Like I said, well, that's what I said. That's why I said social media expert.
Absolutely.
So yeah, okay. Well, that was different. I did want to talk about, I guess, we did touch on like the cycle that we currently see in the Black community with men and whatnot. We did touch on that. We touched on the molestation. Now getting into, since we don't have men going to therapy, I've noticed, like, talking to guys or listening to interviews with celebrities, that male that finally went to therapy, they didn't even realize they had certain things that trigger like relationship. Because Common, he said he was not a sex addict, but a love addict. He loved the nostalgia of being in love. So he would be with somebody to get the love high, but when the love high was over, he was like, I'm out. So
Damn.
yeah.
So wait, he would like literally like get into a relationship specifically to fall in love,
Yeah.
just to leave and go to the next person.
Yeah, but he didn't realize technically he wasn't doing it. He would just be like, once the thrill was gone, he was like, oh,
Yeah, I know somebody like that.
yeah. So do I want to stay?
Yeah,
Damn.
I know.
But he did not know.
Right. No, I get that.
But he didn't, like I said, he didn't know this until therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like how do you, I guess, how do you break the cycle and get past that stigma? Because a lot of men that are going are finding that freedom when they do go to therapy. You see what I'm saying? Like, because I know I've been in relationships, and I said earlier, like, I've had guys, women ain't the only one with daddy issues.
No, absolutely not.
So men,
Absolutely
let's
not.
talk about this real quick. So the Uncle Phil, the Will Smith episode when his daddy left, came back.
Ironically, I just put that up on my story. I think that's the anniversary of it today.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
wow.
look at that.
See?
So let's talk about that. Men and their daddy issues. Because they talk about how when a woman doesn't have if I didn't have a father, then, I'm probably a little bit more promiscuous, I don't have, in and out of relationships, et cetera, et cetera. Men say it's nothing, there are a lot of single women raising a lot of men out here. And it's just like, they think they don't have daddy issues or whatnot like that. But I've seen it firsthand in a relationship that hindered our relationship. That was the biggest, because he didn't know how to love. And I didn't know that until after we had broke up. But I'm like, he was like, I'm good. I don't need his approval. Like, yeah, you kind of do. So let's talk. But he's not the only one. Like, I've seen it with a lot of men who, like, they know their father. Like the Iyanla Van Zandt and T.O.
That was a good one.
Yeah, like, his daddy was living across the street.
Yeah.
So,
I could say
Like-
from my personal experience. Remember on last season we talked about it. So real quick, just to rehash or whatever. My parents divorced when I was 3, and whatever happened leading up to the divorce, it don't concern me. I'm never going to know the truth. I'll never find out the truth. So I've already accepted that part of it. But as far as like having a relationship, like a conversation, type of thing with my dad, no. And so what I've learned about myself, and this took a long time, but what I've learned about myself is that I believe the passion, the drive, the ambition, everything, I think it was fueled because I've always sought, not necessarily approval, but just for people to look at me and be like, man, I'm proud of that dude. But it's like, I never got it from the one place I think I needed to get it from. You know what I mean? Because listen to like some of the things that my dad has, like fought in wars and infantry and killed people with his bare hands and all that stuff. All right, cool. That's great stuff. Kind of, aspired to know how to do some of that stuff at one point in life. So yeah, it was someone I looked up to. But without, I think just because of the absence, never hearing, I legit had to ask him one day, like, dude, are you even proud of me? He's like, yeah, of course I'm proud of you. And it was like a Miss America pageant ass answer. Like, yeah, absolutely, I'm proud of you. But I'm like, proud of what though? Proud because I don't have any kids? Proud because I don't have any felonies? Proud because I can drive a stick? Like, what are you proud of?
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I actually just found out that he may have lung cancer. I just found out like last week.
Yeah.
So I think I'm supposed to find out tomorrow the results. Thank you. But I think what's shocking to me is that I don't even feel anything. Like I literally, it's a regular week to me. And I don't know why.
Does that bother you that you don't feel any way?
It does, because one of my line brothers, like his dad just passed away, and it hit him hard. It hit him real hard, and they weren't even like that close, but close enough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know.
This is my personal opinion. There's a timeline with reconciliation with that. And if it doesn't happen in a certain period of time, I personally believe that it may not ever happen to where you won't feel. Because of the simple fact that you've been able to function within your own chaos inside your head
Right.
with the relationship, and you become immune. So anything that's related to him, you automatically push forward to thinking about the future and what it is you have to do for yourself next.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like, you never felt that that person had a vested interest in what it is that you
Right.
got going on. Now, however, if you didn't have anything else going on outside of that relationship, then you could possibly bridge the gap, because that means your focus is solely is more so on that relationship, and so your heart's still in it, mentally you're still in it, emotionally you're still in it, spiritually you're still in trying to repair this thing. But because you went on and done so many good things for yourself, that sense of independence and that sense of, well, I didn't really need him then, I've been able to function good now, and then so now that so much time has gone past, it's kind of like, okay, you've channeled your energy into so many other things that may not be necessarily a priority at this point in life. And that's why I always tell people there's a timeline in which exactly what you're talking about, that thing needs to get resolved.
And you know what's crazy? It's like, because so out of his and my mother's children, I'm the youngest. There's 4 of us. I'm the youngest by a long shot. And then he has 2 more from, like, you know, the current marriage or whichever. And so out of everybody, so he has a total of 6 children. It's like, out of everybody, I'm the only one that doesn't have a childhood experience with him. And so literally, I'm not even being funny, because like my 2 older sisters and my older brother, like we all have like this, you know, like text and everything. And so when my sister first dropped that information into the group chat, like, I'm not even being funny, like my response was, hey, somebody needs to find out if like we're named in the will, or if we're on the like beneficiaries for like insurance policy. Now, and I mean,
That's surprising.
and I was like,
Well, you went straight lawyer.
I kind of did.
You went
because,
straight- you
because
went
I was
straight
like,
lawyer.
we could have been named and never, we would never know. We never
Right.
seen it, you know, any of that. So I'm just trying to get ahead of it. And my sister, she was like, yo, like really, like that's not the time. And I'm like, I mean, it needed to be asked though. Like, it's a valid question, but I mean, all right.
So I have a what if back to the Fred thing. So we have these situations with men, you know, like take Jock's situation, and then, or even T.O. So now they got a pseudo relationship with their fathers. So now say, you know, he's, you know, going back, the father is going back and now wants to reconcile and has this deep conversation with Jock. Is that detrimental to Jock now? Because you see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
and I think that, like,
I always lived in the and I was, when you were speaking, Fred, I was saying in my mind, the first mind popped in my head, because I'm a big hip hop guy. Pops died, didn't cry, didn't know him that well, and I'm not saying father gonna die, but then you have the 444 album come out, and you can hear that he really wanted to know his father. So I always lived with the moral, and you know, okay, we need to always talk to, you know, our people, try to make it right. You know what I'm saying? So if he does come back and want to have that big conversation, this is me, you know, you do what you want to do. I say you do have it, regardless of what may come from it, because you won't live your life after saying, well, dang, I never got the chance to ask, or I wonder if this, or I wonder if that.
Shoulda, coulda.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, I'd rather you know and say, okay, this is why he did this. This is why he did that. I mean, as the anniversary says, why he don't want me, man? That's a question that will never probably get answered for Will.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I
And then
would.
sometimes when those situations do happen, and where there is some type of reunification, it may just be surface conversation.
That's
How you call it, right?
exactly what it would be.
What's
Yeah.
the weather like down there?
Yeah.
I mean, literally surface
Right.
conversations. But sometimes we have to take it. If
Yeah.
that's all we can get,
Yeah.
we have to take it. You know what I'm saying? Because of the simple fact that we also have to put in consideration, and it's not to condone or give anyone any excuse, but how that previous generation was raised.
Right.
And what we're talking about is trying to break the cycle for that.
Right.
Exactly.
For what people, your generation and my generation,
Exactly.
my father's generation, your father's generations, and all these individuals' father's generation, that's just how it was. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and again, that's not any excuse, but that's what it is. And real quick, one of the things that you had mentioned when we talk about women with daddy issues, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
And it's ironic how it is, and Sue, you can speak on this too. When you got young males in these high schools and everything whose daddy ain't in their life, what do they call them? Bad. They had a daddy and they're like this, and that,
Yeah.
what we do, right? they don't get the same response that the women.
Oh,
that
yeah, it's
women
double
get.
standard. I get
It's
it.
a huge double standard, which
Yeah.
is very detrimental to these young men because they're labeled as bad or oppositional, and then you got people coming back saying, "Well, if he had his daddy in his life, this or this and that." But then when you look at the flip side from the young ladies, just because a male figure isn't in your life doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna be promiscuous. You know what I'm saying? Like your father's, you know, I mean, and that's just what it is. But our young males are automatically labeled bad because their father wasn't in their lives. Specifically, if they're acting out in K through 12.
To speak on that, I'm gonna get to you real quick because I know you're itching.
She's like,
You can see
Yeah. I really don't think it's when it comes to kids in K-12, I don't think it's a daddy issue, at least in high school. I think it's just a single parent. And I'm only speaking from my lens at West Charlotte. Like, there's no structure, there's no balance. So you have one parent who's working 2 and 3 jobs, or working the night shift, and I've had stories where the parents come in like, we don't see each other. Like, this is a parent-teacher conference, and it's like, I don't see him. When I'm coming in, he's already gone to school. When he's coming home, I'm already going to work. And I think that's the issue where, you know, you have the cases where the kids are bad or they having mental problems or being defined and different things like that. So that's just me personally. I don't think it's necessarily a daddy issue that's causing kids to be bad. I think it's just a single parent issue because there's no balance.
Okay. Well, Ty, I want to go
Great
back
point, by the way. Real quick.
just
Yeah.
a second to speak to kind of what you said, because it struck me when I was listening to Frederick speak. I thought, oftentimes men are very task oriented. Okay, so this is this, well, what's the will, well, what's going next? And you don't know. So you're not gonna take the time to sit and think and ponder, what if daddy has this, what if blah, blah, blah. Now, when they bring the diagnosis, you'll cross that bridge and you'll deal with it. Now, sometimes people, men on their, feeling like this is the last hurrah, they may not have a lot longer to live, will feel the need to purge their soul and tell you they love you and reconcile. But when you have to deal with it, you will. And it's okay to feel the way that you do. You don't have to feel the way your siblings do, the way anybody else does, because you are you. But sometimes when people are sick or they pass on, what you grieve is the loss of what could have been. Because if he's not here, he can still get it together as long as he's breathing.
Right.
He could still be the daddy for you as a grown-up man that you wanted. He could be a great grandfather. My father wasn't in my life, though he was alive and breathing in the world. But he's in my life now. I love him dearly. He's great to my kids. Now, our relationship is very different, I would imagine, than if he was my everyday dad. The ones my kids got at the house. You see, but we can only do the best we can with what we've got.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I feel like I would be literally walking into the conversation knowing that I'm trying to account for 30 plus years of questions.
Yeah.
And so it's like I already feel now like any question I ask, it's almost like I gotta reverse engineer every answer he gives me and try to do so much information from it at once. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, so if I ask a question about, I don't know, changing brakes on the car or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be thinking to myself like, all right, yeah, okay, he gave me the answer to that, but that methodology or that, you know what I'm saying? Like, could I have applied that to something else? Would I have, would I have seen that demonstrated? Would I have seen him apply that, that same methodology to something different, or that same type of decision making to something different? Is that something I'm missing out on? Do I need to her and ask that question too? Or, you know what I mean? Like, all that would be going through my head. I probably wouldn't even hear any of his answers.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Baby steps.
And
Yes.
you can only go
Okay.
forward. You can only go, you cannot get anything that you missed yesterday. So he can only be whatever he is,
She dropping
whatever
them.
he
She
can be.
dropping them hard.
Yes, you don't.
But you know what though? Just like in any relationship, whether it's male, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, etc., when challenges happen, when the thrill is gone, the thrill is gone. I mean, that's just what it is. Relationships are relationships. If you don't have that sensational feeling with that person, and it doesn't have to be an intimate love relationship, right? When the thrill is gone, sometimes when you have been scorned, when your heart has been completely separated from your mind with regards to the relation to that person, sometimes it is what it is, and as long as you're able to be cordial, take it for what it is.
Yes.
You know, and it's sad because you share blood. You know, it's your father, and not just fathers, but just in relationships in general. But the reality is, a lot of things have a window of time in which you have to take advantage of it and build on it. And if you don't build on that during that specific time period, which it has presented itself, then sometimes things fall flat, and it just is what it is. We're just existing in the same space.
Were you about to share something, Mrs.?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you were good.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, this whole conversation, it just made me think of, I think, to me, from my perspective, I feel like a lot of men don't go to therapy because they're afraid of that open up. Like, they're afraid to not say, and everybody says afraid to be vulnerable. I think they're afraid to sit in their emotions.
Yes.
I agree.
I really think
Yeah,
that's what it
I
is,
can,
because as you know, we've had shows where we talk about men, women sitting around talking about men and men. Like, the biggest thing I know for women is just like, men always say, oh, you guys always want us to open up, being emotional, because we're emotional creatures. But at the end of the day, we just want you to sit with the emotion that you have with us.
Right.
So I think from a therapy standpoint, I'm like, I just think whether it's daddy issues, whether it's being in a single home and, lack of or too much of whatever, overstimulated, or not getting what you need. I just think when it's time to go to therapy, I think people are afraid because they're like, oh, I got to talk about this. When for me in therapy, it's just really a conversation.
Right.
My therapist we just have, she's like, okay, so how was your last 2 weeks? I'm like, well, and that's it. And then whatever will come of it, And I think
But that's the fear. That's the fear that people have going to therapy.
Is what's gonna come out.
Not just that, but it's also the fear of of what people see from a stereotypical standpoint. You laying on the couch, you see this.
that is not
Did we not just say that?
Not that.
25 times.
The
How does that make
notepad.
you feel? How does that make you feel when the reality is these counseling modalities that were brought over here to the United States, they were not people like us. We weren't included in it.
That's true.
We were not included in all of these different counseling modalities that were brought here. So if you don't approach things from a culture standpoint first, to break the ice and to make that person feel comfortable, then you losing off gate. I mean, you're going to be losing, and that's why it's so important, in my personal opinion, that people that look like me need to be sitting in front of me. Because I've had a lot of people that did not look like me. I've had people that look like me that said that they went to a therapist of another culture, and the connection, it just wasn't there.
Yeah, that's true. Because I've had two different. I've had a Caucasian, and mine now is a African American. So yeah, it's different.
I would say find your fit. Find your fit. And you know when you find your heart finds a home.
Yeah.
It's almost like falling in love. I have a Psychology Today profile, and sometimes I'll have a client come, and I'm thinking to myself, I love her, and she'll be like, Miss Jones, and I'm like, the people I seek are seeking me too.
Yeah.
So it is a connection.
Yeah.
You can talk on the
That's
phone
agreed.
and know
That's
if
true.
this is a person you could vibe with or not. In my mind, I call it tossing the ball. It's not heavy, it's not deep. We just tossing this ball,
Yep.
and we're going down this road, and we're gonna handle whatever
That's it.
comes.
Yep.
Sometimes helping someone reframe things. Oftentimes people already know the answers.
Yeah.
They just need to sit with the questions. It's not that I have some magic wand, because I don't. You already know.
Yeah.
But listening, talking, interviewing, Psychology Today, most of those people you can call them up and have a conversation with, and you know whether this is somebody you can deal with or not.
Yeah.
I prefer African American therapists, but Dr. Schroeder, wherever you are, I love you. He's a white man. He was my therapist in college, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
So every heart has a home. I would suggest that if you are interested in therapy, call them up, have a conversation. Most people will give you a 15-minute consultation for
Yeah.
free.
That's what we said last week, because the two that I had in mind, it was like, okay, come in 15 minutes, let's talk. So yeah.
But I actually like how they have kind of like differing
Oh, yeah.
perspectives on certain things.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. I think
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
really good.
And my whole thing is when you go to the lunchroom, who you go sit with?
The fellas.
What they look like.
Hold on, wait.
What they look like.
It depends on what year in high school.
Right,
we're in.
right. But I mean, but statistics show and research show that people are more comfortable with
Right,
Of course.
right.
It's just like church.
It's no knock, yeah, just like church. You know what I'm saying? It's no knock against people of different ethnic and cultural backgrounds. It's just from what I've experienced and people that have come through my door, whether it's private pay, whether it's EAP, whether it's even at the school system. That's just how it goes, and that's how it is in life. Majority of the time.
And I think you get a level of
Oftentimes.
comfort.
Absolutely.
And I can, as a black woman, I can say something to a black woman in a way
And
that
I'ma
I
get it.
can't say.
I'ma-
You know, if I look at you and be like, look, then you know you got to get him under control because the world don't love brown-eyed boys who hit people. He go out there hitting them white teachers, it's gonna be a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Sally can't say that. It is not gonna be well received. But when it comes from me, yeah, you get it and you know what I'm saying.
So I want to touch on, because I know me and Sue were friends on IG, and I see you post a lot about kind of you being a male figure to some of your students, in a sense. And some days I see you say you're just shocked at how you're the only male figure these boys see, and how much of an impact you have, and kind of how they hang on to your word. And even for you, I've noticed you say, you know, it's just kind of, I think one day you was like, it kind of took you off guard, like, dang, like, I'm the closest father figure they got.
Yeah.
Dang, I just had a great idea. Sorry.
That
No, go ahead. I just want to say that so that
You
nobody
remember.
will let me forget. Yeah.
So with that, it does become, in a sense, tiring because I don't have any kids myself, and you know that I know what you're talking about. That specific time frame, like 4 boys came in like needed guidance, and everybody pretty much had the same chapter 1. Daddy wasn't there. You know, dad wasn't there, and then we get into chapter 2, and dad wasn't there, but dad's in jail, or dad didn't care, or dad has his own other family. So, you know, being a black male in, you know, West Charlotte is a beautiful thing, but being the only black male in the counseling department.
Yeah.
So when we have issues with whether it's black boy or black girl, sometimes I'm the one that they
Oh, wow.
And then on top of that, I'm young.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm closer to them in age, so it's like, okay, well, he probably knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Let's send him to Mr. Super. Like, I get emails all the time, like, oh, Mr. Super such and such is going through this. I was wondering, could you talk to him? And I'm like, you know, dang. Like,
I'm trying to do my day job.
Yeah, I need my regular time to rest, but, you know, it hit me that day. I was just like, you know, these kids don't have a father figure. You know, they don't have an uncle. They don't have a cousin. You know, some of these kids are my children.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny we talking about mental health because I'm going to start mine this summer. I'm starting on my medical stuff. Not starting, but, you know, I'm going to get everything taken care of. But I'm definitely going to start therapy this summer because I'm feeling the burnout.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the stress and the emotions from the kids starting to seep into my life. You know, there's nothing against the kids or anything like that.
You're carrying a lot,
It's
right?
real.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is.
It is.
More that I care so much.
Yeah.
Now I know
It is.
some of my colleagues may say like, well, we don't see it, but
You've had to be a community.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? It's like he and I. It ain't a lot of us.
I know.
I'm telling you,
I know.
it's not. Like when I was first at JCSU, and I was the director of counseling at JCSU for 2 years. Only
Damn, that's what's
therapist,
up, bro.
only therapist on campus for 2 years. You understand me? The only therapist on campus. And Ms. Jones will tell you, because I would try to refer people for you just to get them off of me because you're exhausted and you can't turn them down. And the thing is, they send black boys and black girls to people like me and Sue because we are the black male, right? We are the black male. They send them to the boys because he gonna get them straightened out. He gonna get them straightened out,
Right.
And then the girls to teach things on how to protect them, how to do this and how to do that, to tell to say don't let a boy treat you this way.
Right.
And this and that. That's how it happens. So it compounds, right? And it does. And I told you, Miss Jones, how everything the Sub is talking about right now, man, it's tough. And people don't understand, even for therapists, how tough it is.
Y'all gotta have
specifically specifically African American male therapists who are a novelty, and everybody wants to send people to an African American male therapist.
And to keep it in the education realm, I had a talk with my AP, and it's like I told her, I was like, I don't know what my next step what I want it to be, because do I take the step and move up to admin, where now I'm stepping into a disciplinarian role?
Yep.
And that's how the kids are going to see me. It's so funny if you pay attention to how kids, when they come into the counselor's office from screaming and hollering in the hallways, and when they walk into the AP or the dean's office, it's so, do I take being a black male and move up into that role, get more money, you know what I'm saying? Or do I stay in a role where there's not many of me, you know, and create and become, like I said, that Iverson of counselors, that Jordan of counselors,
Right.
you know, so like that's what I've been battling with for like 6 months. And I'm definitely gonna go to therapy and say like, look, I need your help with this one.
You know, but just, I don't know how it works as far as, you know, you kind of picking who you want to hire or whatever, you know, as you move up. But I would think as you move up, you're able to put who you want
In
you know
that
what I'm saying,
space.
replace it.
Yeah, of course. But this is the thing. I move up, but in the whole education field, there's not a lot of black men.
Right, no, I know,
Period.
the supply is super low.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, there's not a lot of black men in counseling. Like when I go to these counseling meetings, I literally, every time before I sit down, I look around the room, 1, 2, and I'm one. So, you know, like, yeah, like I'm like, dang, now it's a bunch of women, bunch of black women, all different races. Like I've been applying lately, and I applied to one school, they have all women. There's not one male counselor there. Not one. Now I don't know if other male counselors are applying, but
There's not many. I mean, I went to graduate school years ago and there was 3. I can name them. I
See?
mean, and 2 of them were black.
But that's technically part of the cycle too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely part of the cycle. And I would be remiss if we didn't mention this. So we know that we're losing a lot of brothers
Right.
Due to incarceration for bogus reasons. A lot of brothers are being killed.
Yeah.
You know, various different issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a shortage, of course, in African American males just in general.
Yep.
But there's a stat that stood out to me, I don't want to bore us with stats because
It's
I
all
hate
good.
stats.
Yeah, I'm all right.
I figure we got to at least have one stat.
Boom, there it goes. That's his
Right,
facts.
that's facts. But this was released with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and Minority Health. Young men between the age of 15 and 24, especially African American men, are at an increased risk of suicide. African Americans are 10% more likely to report having extreme psychological discomfort than non-Hispanic whites. The mortality rate for suicide for African American men was far more than 4 times greater than African American women in 2014. So we are losing African American males across the spectrum in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not, in my personal opinion, that's not touted enough. We're talking age 15 to 24.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you started getting it in early, you ain't even produced somebody else to take your place. Is what I'm saying, right? So when you see population dwindling, it's dwindling because of African American men. It's dwindling in a lot of different areas, and that's one of them.
You know, and that's why I've said it before to women. This is like in dating conversations. You know, always want to like putting down men and like black men or whatever. And I'm like, you know, you're kind of getting the cream of the crop here, because literally we're the ones, we're not in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're not in like just, you know, nothing wrong with working at, you know, McDonald's or being a sanitation engineer or auto technician. Yeah, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, if Buddy got a degree or more, you know what I'm saying, or a degree, like 1 or 2 or whatever, and he has like a more of a career job with a salary, doesn't like clock in and out, that is kind of like cream of the crop, honestly. Just anywhere you go, I know people like love to fight me on that, but it's facts. It's facts.
We just gotta get y'all to go to therapy though. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's chapter
You'll
2.
have such a better
Yeah.
No, I agree. But real quick though, Sue, what I was gonna say was, because I do this, I participate in Career Dad, it's one elementary school every year. And it's so impactful. It was the whole reason why I even went to law school was because I saw a black man that wasn't doing what everything, I grew up in, for those that don't know, I grew up in a trailer park. The hood of hoods. You know what I'm talking about, like dead body in the street, FBI surrounding this house. That's a regular Tuesday for me. And so to see like a black man like in a suit, you know, driving, like granted, the Porsche was what got my attention. I'm not gonna lie, but it is what it is. It definitely damn sure worked. But you know, when I asked him, I was like, man, like how did you do that? What did you do? Because you don't look like what I see on TV. I didn't use those words, but you know, that's basically what I was saying. And he was like, nah, I mean, I went to college, went to dental school, became a dentist, opened up my own office. Oh, yeah, okay. Made it sound so easy.
Right, right.
But also saw how he treated his wife, how he treated his children. So it's like I saw the whole package somewhere of the whole package.
That.
Exactly. I literally said, I want that. And that was why I started treating, like that's why I treat the women when I'm in relationships with. That's why I treat them the way that I do. I do. I'm very.
Be clear.
Iceberg Slim.
Not you, Randoms.
Not the randoms. You know, the randoms do get some total different side of me. But no, seriously though, like this, I tried to emulate everything that I saw.
Yeah.
From the car to the suit to the way that he held the door open for his wife and how he interacted with his children. Everything.
Like I said, that goes back to earlier when I said we emulate and we copy other males. You know, it's, and going back to something as small as dress, like there's other black males there, but I can name maybe 3 of us who really suit and tie it almost every day. And that's an issue for me because it's our population. If they don't see majority of the staff wearing suit and tie, then they'll think it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with the polos, nothing wrong with chinos, khakis, and all of that. But again, did an event 2 years ago. Can you tie me? Tie drive. Half of the boys, not even gonna say half, 75% of the boys didn't know how to tie a tie. We had more girls trying to learn how to tie the tie than the boys. So again, if I don't see somebody, if I don't see my math teacher who I'm cool with, wearing and dressing a way that looks professional, that looks, you know, real nice, then why would I? You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, Mr. Sue, I see you have that nice bow tie. Can you teach me? Yeah, I can teach you. But again, if I'm not running into you every day, I'm just that guy who dressed nice.
Right.
So the people that are in front of, like you said, that are in front of people that look like me, they need to set the standard. That guy set the standard for you. Now you're setting the standard for somebody else.
I am. And every year I quote unquote adopt like a new person to mentor. Yeah, the kid I got this year, man, it's bright. Probably gonna take over like I don't know Microsoft or something.
Smart as all get out. Like
I mean,
creating. I'm like,
dude,
so
and it was dude is smart as hell.
let's go ahead and
He's
get
like
this going.
11.
You
Yeah.
can be super smart despite the fact that
Yep.
I live in a hotel with my 7
With
siblings.
grandmother, yeah.
And
Right.
you know, this is not the kid who gets read to or
Yep.
in bed by 9:30.
Right.
You know, like they live in rough, but honey, bright. Numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was gonna say was I'll get together a couple of guys I went to school with that are still in Charlotte. Because we're having a conversation amongst us. Like, we talk like we, you know, fellas, boys. We know how to turn it on and off. But I think that's what they need to see. They need to see that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can talk to you just like the way this dude in the movies or on TV talks to the other, you know what I'm saying, his fellas, his boys, his homies. But at the same time, I got on a suit and tie because I'm smart as shit. Like, because I'm educated.
Right.
You're right.
So yeah, we'll work together on that, man.
Yeah, let me know. I got a couple things in my brain. We might need you for graduation. Have your boys donate some ties.
Man, I donated so
I
many
actually have a few
ties.
ties.
I donated suits, ties, watches. I don't mind though. I don't mind.
So to kind of close out, we want to kind of just revisit, letting folks know, because again, mental health awareness, you know, where can they go, find therapists, plug your practices and whatnot, and then I guess what they can do is, you know, kind of encouragement there.
I would say, I encourage everybody breathing needs to come to Oscar Ball. Everybody has something to unpack and to manage. It's not, I practice well care. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to be depressed or suicidal to come see me. you can come see me to deal with your regular life. I mean, I'm blessed enough that when I have problems and strife, I have therapists on the speed dial because most of my friends are therapists. But I recommend this for everyone. I would say a good place to start is the internet. Psychology Today is awesome. You can Google therapists in Charlotte, and there's tons. My name is Rochelle Jones. I'm on the internet. You can Google me. I would suggest that you get referrals from friends. You contact the therapist and get a consultation. It might be over the phone, it may be in person, but have an open heart and an open mind. You don't have to be sick, even for children. Full disclosure, my son was having some anxiety and he was probably 7 or 8. And I took him to the play therapist and they played and he loved it and he dealt with whatever was making him kind of anxious and no more problems. But for him, it was just play. So oftentimes, even with little kids going through things, they go, they paint, they play, they draw, and things work out.
And I'm sorry, this is like 100 ways to spell Rochelle. So if you could just-
Rochelle Jones.
Awesome. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that Psychology Today is a great source, because outside of that, then you're looking at what behavioral health and places like that, which it's not necessarily a bad thing. Usually those services are utilized if there's more emergent situations. And if you have to use it for that, then please do. And there's mobile crisis. Mobile crisis is still in?
Yes.
Still in play? Yeah, mobile
Yes, it
crisis.
is, trust me.
I use it all.
They come to school twice a week.
Right. So, there's also the mobile crisis hotline, and you can Google that here in Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. So yeah, I think that like Ms. Jones says, that you could be anybody. Everybody can sit down and use a conversation. Usually when I do my EAP, individuals usually stay on after that, and I see them once a month just for maintenance. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be something that is traumatic, right? I mean, it can just be maintenance off the things that you've already learned through your 6 sessions. You know what I'm saying? And also, do not allow the cost of therapy to frighten you.
Yes.
I see people on the sliding scale specifically from the lower socioeconomic community, because as therapists, it's our rent to give back to individuals who may not be able to afford those $110, $120 an hour sessions. My sliding scale, I've gone down to as much as $25 for a person, for a mother and her kids, because they couldn't afford it.
Right.
But they needed it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but that's just the heart that I got, and that's how I was raised, is to make sure that you do for others. You know what I'm saying? So on Psychology Today, then I can be found at Frederick, Frederick, Murphy, Murphy. So that's where I'm found at.
Pretty much to echo, what everybody say. I think to get people in the therapy, tag along. Somebody, if you're a friend, tell your friend, let's go, or set the appointment up. It's funny, my mother, she set I know it's kind of like a left turn, but my mother set my appointment up for lupus. And otherwise I would have never known I had lupus.
Oh, wow.
So, sometimes it just takes that, now that I have lupus, I'm on it like, a hound dog.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like I said, friends, just, you really care about your friend, they're going through something, set the appointment up, pay for the session, or 15-minute consultation, it's nothing.
Yeah.
We all need it, we're all going through something. Don't ever think that, you're too good to talk. And like I said, to break the stigma, it's not like you said, a notepad and laying on the couch and all of that stuff you see in the movie. It's actually a conversation. When my students come in, if they're frustrated and they're mad, I'm like, okay, let me close the door, talk how you talk in the hallway. Bro, these people trying me, and
Yeah.
I let them go.
Hey, that's
Let
it.
them go.
That's all it is.
Get it out how
That's all
you know
it is.
that's how to get it out. And that's exactly how it is in therapy. I would imagine, I haven't gone, but I know when I go, I'm gonna be talking crazy. I talk just like I talk with the fellas.
You have to,
So,
man. You gotta be yourself.
Yeah, so that's my thing. Like I said, please get started. I recommend to all my homies, and it's gonna be hard, to get people in there, but as we all have mentioned, the narrative is changing. Mental health is becoming, people are becoming more aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing that I appreciate the most. Like we are, taking our mental health very serious. I don't have private practice. I'm new in the profession.
Anything you need to know, I mean, we got you. I mean, like, because you need one. I'm just going to tell you.
Trust me.
And it's,
Or you can work at mine.
Look at that.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Listen.
This time, let's get some credit.
You'll be
Because last time we got 2 people together on here, we didn't get no credit.
None. I mean, they over there going on tour
Why we
together
had a
and
whole
just
book
got
and
a book
everything.
coming out.
All right, sorry.
We still
Y'all want
talking
some
about
free
that.
sessions
Sorry.
instead of it?
Hey.
Hey, but look,
I'm
real quick, this
definitely
is
down for
a
that.
plug, not for me, but this is a plug for a place called, because I mentioned this to you, Open Path.
Yeah.
Now, this is for individuals who, if you already know off gate that you can't afford those sometimes astronomical prices for therapy. Open Path is, you can Google Open Path Counseling. What is Open Path?
It's Open Path Counseling.
So you can type, you can Google Open Path discount counseling, I guess you can put in. It'll take you to it. And it's automatic discount rate.
Oh.
And there's people within the network here in Charlotte. I know I'm in it. I know
I'm in it.
She's in it as well. And
You
you don't have to
choose your
worry
own?
about those.
You
Yeah,
do.
you get to still choose your own therapist, but it's put there in place for individuals who automatically allow a sliding scale, who, you know what I'm saying, are in it. And not saying that other people aren't, but it just gives you the opportunity to say that, okay, I can stay between this 50, 30 and
30 and 60.
$30 and $60
And I think it's
limit.
50 to 80 for a couple.
Yeah. So that's
That's
good.
great.
You know what I'm saying? That's like your copay that you will be paying.
Absolutely.
And that's, and if you're just coming in for talk therapy, like you're just coming in because you need to get some off your chest, you don't have to worry about being diagnosed along with that. Because if you use your insurance like Cigna or Blue Cross Blue Shield, you gonna be diagnosed with something.
Oh, dang.
In order to continue using the insurance?
Because that's how therapists get paid.
Absolutely.
Right.
So-
And even if you use your flex spending card, you have to have a diagnosis if you want to get reimbursed.
Right.
Sometimes they'll audit the charge on your card, and I have to give you a super bill, which is a bill with all my information on it and a diagnostic code.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
So
I'm
Open
glad y'all
Path.
talking. I was on Blue Cross Blue Shield. Y'all take care of this there.
And the thing is, I actually pay for my therapist out of pocket, and I get a discounted rate because
Yes.
she actually gives me, because she knows I'm paying out of pocket. It's a little bit, maybe like $5 above what she would charge Blue Cross Blue Shield, but it's still cheaper. So
Yeah.
like you said, because I told her, I was like, no, I don't want to pay. I was like, I want to invest in my mental health.
Absolutely.
So she was just like, oh, okay, well, let me go ahead and give you a discounted rate. So like you said, they will work with you.
Okay.
And I was looking up, because I'm always thinking about this type of stuff. I just wanted to see if you could write off, mental health expenses.
What about the will, huh?
I'm just saying
It's a
that.
health expense.
It
I mean,
is.
It actually is. It
And
actually
your
is.
mileage from where you live to the therapist and back. You can write that off as well.
And absolutely. So, just make this big round trip. You got to do grocery shopping and all that stuff. Put it all. But anyways,
So we're trying to help y'all.
what I did see though is that as long as it's preventative care.
Yep.
Which means that you just can't have a diagnosis from what I've just heard, as long as you're not going to use your own insurance. So it's like if you pay out of pocket, then you don't have to have a diagnosis, correct?
No, you don't
Okay.
have to. But a good therapist is going to, if you truly have a diagnosis, a good therapist is going to diagnose.
Well, absolutely. I don't want
But a lot of people just need talk therapy.
That's it.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. A lot of people,
Just
it
need
needs
somebody
more
to-
talk therapy versus
Unbiased opinion,
anything
no
else.
judgment,
Right.
just to talk.
And to provide some interventions, and you all work as a collective to get that thing done. So, so that's just an FYI, because some people been going to therapy for years, and then like I had one client when I was actually taking insurance, because I only do private pay and EAP and Open Path now. Brother was going to purchase a gun for his family for protection. Diagnosis was of course on his, so they ran him through
Right.
hoops. He called me. He was like, "Yo, Mr. Murphy, whoop whoop," and I'm like, "Oh yeah."
This why.
Yep.
But we don't even think about it because it's just second nature for us to.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the code. Send it to them. That's how we get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes people with their children, they don't want them to have a
diagnosis.
diagnosis.
So young, specifically.
Absolutely.
Well, I can only say that
This was good.
this was a great episode.
I know it.
Loved it.
I hope everyone, all our listeners got a lot out of it, because I did.
Yeah.
even a few SAT words.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
what's,
like
what's that?
real.
What was that word? Let's
What it is?
what does that mean?
That's the word of the
It
day.
means-
We have had a word of the day the last 3 episodes.
We have.
This-
Fredo, what does it mean now?
Yeah.
Not putting you on the spot this time, I really want to.
I
I'm sorry.
It's evil. It gets inside you. It's,
Oh.
you don't really see it, kind of like a snake. It kind of sneaks up behind you and it
Lucifer.
lures you in.
Lucifer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah, I got it.
Lucifer.
All right.
Well,
What a
y'all
way to
heard it
end
here.
it.
Again, like we said, if anybody out there feeling like you need any kind of anything, do not hesitate to reach out to us. All Pro, y'all know how to
Yep.
find us on the gram, y'all can email us.
LNG podcast
LNG
at
podcast
Gmail.
at
If we
Gmail.
don't know, we will point you in the right direction.
Absolutely, and we want to put it on out there. We are not licensed professionals.
No, we will refer you.
We will quickly refer you. But if you just want to listen, we appreciate it. We love y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.